Hello. Now, as I'm sure you've seen, since my 1815 Start series, I've been producing lots of little standalone bits of OpenTTD content and having some Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 or indeed OpenRCT 2 playthroughs. One thing I find myself slightly missing is actually having an ongoing OpenTTD game to witter at into the microphone while I play it. So I thought I'd have another series that doesn't have a strict release schedule, that I just record when I feel like recording and I put out when I feel like putting out, because the advice they give you to grow your YouTube channel is to always have a predictable release schedule so people know exactly when things are going to come out. Then again, they always tell you to keep asking people to subscribe and smash the notification bell, and I've been fairly lax at doing that, so this is how we roll in the world of Timberwolf. So yes, I thought I'd have a new game, and I thought I'd try something which I come back to every so often, which is a style of game that I call Bonsai. And this is named after the Japanese and under a slightly different name Chinese practice of making tiny trees. But it's not just building a tiny tree. That Bonsai is really very much about the style and actually replicating a much larger tree in a small space. There's with a focus on aesthetics and tending and pruning. Whereas real trees, they kind of just grow willy-nilly all over the place. Not really pay much attention to the aesthetics. They're just sort of naturally nice. And so that's kind of a bonsai game, So I actually have one. I get to play an Arctic game. And I have this set up as a scenario. And that's partly because, as I say, it's bonsai. You need to tend to it carefully. So if you just generate a random scenario, in the Arctic you probably will end up with no farms or no forests, but having that sort of pleasing little flow of the landscapes. This is my landscape with sort of pleasing flow. So we've got a little village down here. Well, little village. We've got a big town down here in this valley. A little village up here with a gold mine. We've got a town down here with some food processing. So this should be a perfect sort of microcosm of the Arctic environment. This should be a replication of a proper Arctic game, except somewhat smaller and with somewhat less in the way of gigantic map-spanning main lines. Well, there will be map-spanning main lines, but they can't exactly be gigantic. So this is a 64 by 64. And therefore, it's actually the most difficult game economically, on the basis that, as Eddie the North often says, the real currency of OpenTTD is tiles, and therefore this is the smallest map. It has the fewest tiles. They're going to show you a little bit the new graph settings. I know people really like it when I show this, and if I don't show it, they will go, what's going on with your industry? So I want to know. So I'll put this in the description as well for people who want the same thing. But we've got fairly standard set. We've got Aviator for aircraft. We've got ISR for the stations. We've got Squid Ate FISH for ships. There's new ship sets. I think Andy has an Unsinkable Sam released at this point, which I should be playing with, but I just haven't had a chance to download it. Well, let's go radically off piste. There's a limited selection of ships include. Okay, so maybe not. It's not quite complete, but Unsinkable Sam is there, and you can play and you can give Andy feedback, and he will enjoy having that, as long as it's actual useful feedback and ideas, and it's not just stupid feature requests or imbecilic. Your ship set is wrong, and I have a very, very detailed study as to why it's wrong. That tends to not go down so well. And, Timberwolf stations, Timberwolf tracks, Timberwolf UK road vehicles, UK trains, and community add-on. You'd almost think that this might be the same Timberwolf that likes these sets so much. Of course it is, yes. As people ask me occasionally, they say, they usually the comments on when I make graphics files, they go, you're the same Timberwolf as the series. Yes, I am. As you would probably know, because I usually spot bugs in it when I'm recording videos. Anyway, we have gone on for long enough. we have jabbered and wittered and things of that ilk for long enough. So let's build the correct thing to do on a small map like this would be start with road vehicles. So let's start with a railway. It only has to be a little railway. And there's 136 tons of coal. And let's have a tunnel length 8. They probably want a little bit less than that. I don't want to ruin the peak of this. Too late. So it's going to be length 8. Because this is the thing with the Bonsai game is it's very much about what are you doing aesthetically, and how is this going to look. So let's do this. Let's set this up. Let's have a mineral unloader, and I think this will probably survive just one little train for now. And they're starting in 1930, so the Timberwolf trains will probably be relatively expensive. So let's go see what we've got. Let's see. Engines only, and let's sort it by the cost. What's nice and cheap. So it's a little tank engine. And actually 21,000. And the bug, the A1 is on the bottom. And that's 26. DX goods 5.7 classes. Drummond M7. Actually, I think so Drummond has 500 horsepower of the 80 newtons of tractive effort. 1528. I actually think the 1528 is probably quite good. There we go. So we get to then have coal. It's going to be a 5-plank open wagon. And I'm not even really going to bother with the total car. 189 tons. It's probably a little bit much, actually. 126 tons, yes. Carriage coal. There we go. And hopefully that will be profitable. Let's set over mines. And there we go. So let's set that going. Let's do some colour schemes. Let's see how I'm going to have a pale green. Pale green and then maybe light green. Let's see how that goes. I'm not sure how nice those will look. Those are going to make my freight wagons, I think. And maybe my freight wagons, I'm going to make them dark green. There we go. Let's have WJ green, because that worked so well for us in Blue & Co. So this is obviously going to be Green & Co. I'll run out of colours eventually. That's doing okay now. That's loading coal over there. I'm also thinking about next. So we want to get this. Let us see. So we want to get food over to the food processing plants. Well, because we'll start wanting to take food over the mountains. So we probably still afford trains. Let's give a little railway around here. So let's do that. Let's bonsai up some little farm station. And they don't want to build too much in the actual farm itself over the fields, because that's quite expensive. And so we're just going to build a little bit going here, and then a little bit sort of going around here. And can we get this around here? Oh, yes, we can. And that's quite nice, isn't it? And there we go. So nice, sort of aesthetically pleasing, and let's bring this out the other side here. I'll need to put some passing places on this as well. There's a tight turn, but none of our trains are that fast. I think we can live with the tight turns for now. So just get to sort of come around here, and then going to drop that down there, and then oh, can I drop that further? And, oh yes, I can. And there we go, nice sort of little valley that comes through there, and then into there. And maybe this will just be a generic low goods station. Okay, so it's the same sort of setup. And with the engines only, so that's the 1528 class really seemed like very good for what we were looking for. And then, yes, what are the farm carriages? So wheat and livestock. So I'm going to go for my sort of setup that I've had before, and where we have some wheat and then some livestock. Oh, we've got a 30-foot van. So what's the total cargo here? So there's 120 tons of wheat and 120 tons of livestock. Oh, there's probably a bit much, actually. Let's make that 96 and 84. And there we go. That's quite good. And that will go over here. So we're just going to full load any cargo here. Oops. Yes, full load of that. They may have a second one of those. So let us do that. Let us have that. And now, actually, do I want to do this like this? Can I get this onto a foundation? Oh, yes, I can. And so, we're running low on cash. Do I want to take out more loan? Oh, I've got quite a big maximum loan. That wasn't very sort of bonsai, was it? Oh, they should have really kept a nice little maximum loan. So I was forced to keep my company small. And there we go. Yes. One way path. Like that. And then like that. That means we can just clone that train. And then we can have two of those plying the rails. And now, do I want another little sort of piggledy line going around here? I think that'd be quite nice, actually. It's a little sort of a line like that. Just sort of two of these with passing places. You won't need much capacity because it is such a small little line. So we're just going to build like that. I should do some science of these lines, really, to see what the throughput of these various things are. To see kind of when you actually need more throughput on these tracks, where these are just fine. We don't know what that's doing up there. So that should not be there. Okay, so we've got some semblance of good service running. Ooh, now, this should be fun. So I've got oil over here. And then I have an oil refinery down here. But actually, so what we could do, we couldn't bring the oil up from there, but actually, no, we could. And because what we could do is we could have a station up there. Okay, and just a little 1x4. Flat land required. Can I get the flat land there? Oh, yes, that doesn't cause too much of a disaster, ecologically speaking. So, there you go. So I could now have a bridge, which, yes, a little bridge just goes over there. And we don't even need to do these steel girder bridges. This I actually do quite like it if it comes around there like that. There we go. Little bit of sort of bonsaiing there. And now this, do I want this to go around over here? So this is the interesting thing. This to go to the oil refinery. I really need to go around this town. These are not going to be very efficient layouts, and by any stretch of the imagination, but this, it's not about making huge amounts of money. It's about making sort of attractive little railways that kind of snake and meander. So I'm quite okay with that. No, but actually, if they let us get rid of this, a little bridge through the town, and this slow gird bridge like that. Ooh, and that's not so good. Because what I now need to do is just kind of come round to the station. Okay, so rather than do that, well, let's leave that there as a sort of monument to indecision. And let's think about what we can do and what can we do to get round here. So I guess we could possibly ask the town very nicely if we can demolish this and this and this and this, and apparently yes to all of those. And if they will let us demolish that, no, that's a step too far. And that's a shame. this is what I wanted to do, was have a nice sort of little level crossing, and which we know is kind of bad, but these must when you're trying to make things attractive. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go round here and round here and all the way round here. And then just diving, yes, this can be a tunnel through here. And yes, and then the station right at the edge of the map. Let me build that. Oh, yes, it does. And yes, that is permissible. Good. And then I'm going to build a nice other station here, and then build some engines only. I really need to keep looking at that and thinking, oh, the sprite is a little bit on the noisy side there. I'm not so sure I like this sort of noised up sprites as much. See, I think these buildings might benefit from some sort of re-rendering at some point. Oh, there we go. A Midland Railway 1528 class. We're getting a little bit over-reliant on that. What do we have? Do we have anything else that looks nice? Well, the Ginty. The Ginties are fairly classic, so and Ginties are a bit more expensive, but I don't think we can afford a Ginty. We've got so much loan. I mean, we're borrowing really for this. But and there you go. Oil. Much oil to these produce 117,000. So I don't want to put too much onto here. There we go. And yes, that probably will be enough. Just little trains that go kind of from place to place. So we need to think about how we want to double track this. So a little bit of removing the landscape there. Maybe a little peak here. It would be nice. And so yes, then I'm just going to build a couple of these. And these passing tracks. And they'll probably need another one. Another one here. Now this actually, no, I think get away with removing that. And that was a bit too much. Well, it's okay. It's not too bad. It's okay. It doesn't really compromise my artistic vision yet. And they want to do people. Yes, there's enough signal distance for trains to fit in there. And so yes, so let's do that. Just clone that as well. So we need more money. So we'll probably check on the profitability as we get into January. And there we go. So we've got some simple trains set up, some oil. And the oil goes in there. Farm stuff. And then we have a coal. And yes, actually, coal seems to be doing okay. So coal is doing sort of 12,000 a year. Farm stuff is each of those are doing 3,000 or so. And then the oil, which just has to sort of load, and then that hopefully, because that is a gigantic map spanning line across the whole of my bonsai. That may actually make a decent amount of money. Okay, so forest. What's the forest change? This is paper mill. So that that's a printing works. And then where's the paper mill? The paper mill is up here. Okay. This I think would be a nice change of pace if we start using road vehicles. And for this, so let's build up some road vehicles from here. So now this is quite early on in the game, so road vehicles aren't that powerful. What that means is that we need to think about how we actually bring them up and down the hills. Oops, that was a little bit too much. And so we don't want them to be taking too much of a hill at the same time. And that's probably okay. Oops, that's a little bit too much. And yes, see that. So that's the problem that you start to face, is you end up with too much hill. Oh yes, they need to go down to the printing works. So I've got all these farm fields here. So actually, having done that, I want to avoid having to go through the farm. And so I'm actually going to suggest that we open that up a little bit. And this is going to be a little bit slow. I'm having this alongside, but it should be okay. Should be. And they're having this. Sorry, not having this alongside, having that turn there will be a little bit slow. Really quite exciting to drive along, but it's still sort of slow to navigate. And then maybe we have a nice long bridge here. A big long suspension bridge just along the edge. And has that taken us too far? No, that's not taken us too far. We can now have a turn through here. It's still good. And then maybe a turn through here. And a turn through here. And there we go. We can have a nice little unload station here. Oh yes. Where the sound mixes for you. If you heard the sort of wind whistling through the forest. And the whistle it did. And there we go. And so, new vehicles. Let's have a look what we've got. Vulcan lorry. Vulcan lorry is actually pretty good. So, yeah. Oh yes, only 1930. So, yes, 18 tons of wood. That should sort of outstrip its power. And it's going downhill while it's loaded, so that will help too. Ooh, we're really running a bit low on cash, aren't we? Let's have 8 of those. Wood. Oh, there's a nice little setup going there. And those should load with wood. It's there. 135 tons of wood actually produces a decent amount of wood as well. So yes, there we go. There's the little sort of first steps of sort of bonsai setup. So you see, the kind of let's connect all of the industries together can happen quite quickly. So we won't be waiting long before we do have all the industries connected up, and we'll be thinking of what next to do. We'll be working on expanding the towns and obviously beautifying things a bit. But I shall leave that there, and I shall see you in the next episode.